Jazz drummer Ferit Odman is one of the quintessential jazz musicians in Turkey. He is one of the most in-demand drummers in Europe and is quickly becoming one of the top players on the scene. I first met Ferit Odman at William Paterson University as a fellow student in one of Mulgrew Miller's ensembles, and I quickly recognized that he was a serious player. I was fortunate enough to meet Ferit Odman on the jazz scene in Turkey back in 2010, and he showed me around to the different clubs, and we really had a good time, and I got a chance to play with him. He was at the Nardis Jazz Club, and the Istanbul International Jazz Festival was also going on at the same time. Ferit Odman has worked with many of the top musicians in Turkey, including Karem Gorsev, including many of the other greats who have come through Turkey. Topmost one probably would be Benny Golson. So, Ferit is the on-demand, top-call player whenever people come to Turkey. Ferit has released 3 recordings to date, including ones with Terrell Stafford, Vincent Herring, and Peter Washington, among others. And he's got some great tunes, and his latest recording is a dedication to Tad Dameron with strings. Since Ferit lives in Turkey and he's pretty busy as a drummer and taking care of his newborn child, I talked to him online with Skype, and I was able to record the call. You can notice the time difference in the interview. It's about 7 hours difference, and it was starting to get dark there in Turkey, but I think the picture comes out well enough. So I highly recommend you check out Ferit and his music, and at the end of this video I have included a short clip of him. Thanks for watching this channel, and please subscribe. It's really important. Subscribing means you get new videos, and it'll let you know right away. It helps grow the channel, and stay tuned for future videos and interviews. Thank you.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for this interview, I'm here with Ferit Odman, a good friend of mine, and a drummer, one of the top drummers in Turkey and in Europe. We go way back. We were in ensembles together at William Paterson University.
Yeah.
So Ferit, I wanted to ask you a little about how you got started in playing drums as a child. You started around 11 years old.
That's right, man. It's first of all, it's great to be with you on this Skype session.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me. So as you said, we go way back in 2006 to 2008. We were together at William Paterson University.
Yeah.
With Mulgrew Miller. So I would like to start how I miss Mulgrew Miller, and it's such an early loss for all of us. So
Absolutely.
I really think about him every day, So I would like to start with that, and he's just one of the most important person in my life. Actually, he just became one in those 2 years, and I cannot imagine how he was important for the piano students and everybody around him. He was such a great guy. So, Jonah, I started when I was 11 years old, so I was just like hitting on pots and pans, basically.
Yeah.
And it was kind of inevitable for me to be a drummer. And there was always jazz playing in our house. I'm from Turkey, from Istanbul, but my father did his master's degree, MBA, in Wharton School in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And Wharton School. So he brought a lot of LPs back to Turkey. So I really grew up listening to those LPs. Like just 2 days ago, I ran into a friend of my father, and he was talking about how my father took him to a Thelonious Monk gig in Pennsylvania. So
wow.
he was a big jazz fan, and then all his legacy and LPs took life with my drumming, let's say.
That's great.
I lost him when I was 16 years old, so I didn't have much knowledge about his knowledge, but through his LPs and through the music that he listens to, I became a jazz drummer, and very early, when I was 11. I was listening to jazz, and I just wanted to be a drummer. I decided to become a drummer when I was 13, actually.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I remember some of the early recordings I listened to were Thelonious Monk. Some of those those things, and I remember I wasn't really per se a jazz person yet, but just in the background, Thelonious Monk. And then you went to school in exchange. You went to Sweden, right? You went
to Sweden for 1 year, and that year changed my life basically, musically, because that school that I went to had a great music program, and I was 17 years old. So I just I was accepted to the big band of that school. So for a year I played with that big band. I played with the combos with my teachers. Actually, they hired me for their combos over there to play at the clubs and stuff. So it was like a music full of year for me in Sweden when I was 17, and I came back. Then I studied at Istanbul Bilgi University. There was a great jazz program. Maybe you guys know him, but I don't know if you do. But the great ear training teacher Donovan Mixon, his books are taught in Berklee College of Music. Ricky Ford was teaching there. The great saxophone player Ricky Ford was teaching. So it was like a great jazz school in Istanbul back in the day.
Great, yeah.
So I did my BA over there, and then I came to New York City for School for Improvisational Music, the SIM sessions, that was run by Steve Coleman, and all the great guys were over there. Jason Moran, like, I can't name names. It was like all the guys were there.
A lot of people,
yeah. And I think it was run by Ralph Alessi and Steve Coleman, mainly. So I did like a 1 month session over there back in 2004. Then I said I should come back to New York City. I gotta come back here.
Yeah, New York.
Yeah, man, that got into my blood, very easily. And after that, I applied to this scholarship called Fulbright Scholarship. So that's how I could come to William Paterson to do my master's degree. And in those 2 years, as I said, with Mulgrew Miller, Bill Goodwin on drums, all those great teachers that we had over there, and all the great gigs that I saw during those 2 years. And as I had this scholarship, I could go and listen to music and spend money to listen to music a lot. I could do that. I don't know, if I didn't have that scholarship, maybe I wouldn't be able to see that many gigs. But since I had money, I could do that. And that taught me a lot. That taught me a lot.
A lot of those guys. I remember Mulgrew especially. For us students, they would get us in on the guest list or get us a reduced price, and so there was just so much stuff to see. And I agree with you about Mulgrew. He was just a big influence on so many of us at that program. And for me, he hooked me up with Ron, and I saw so many of his shows on different iterations. So that was a tragedy when he passed from the stroke, and so after you finished school, you moved back to.
Yeah, I had to, because with that Fulbright scholarship, you get a visa called J1 visa, and with that visa, you have to go back to your own country and spend at least a year back over there. It's the rule of that visa, so I had to come back. But I was already really busy here in Istanbul. But then when I came back from New York City, I was much more busier, man. I was like playing every day. And you came and saw me once in Istanbul. Yes, I don't know how many years ago that, but
I came to Istanbul for a couple weeks in 2010 in the summer, right around the time of the jazz festival. And I remember you working a lot.
Yeah, man. I'm still. I'm really grateful about that. I get to play at least like 20 gigs a month, as a sideman and also as a leader. So it's a blessing to be able to play that much.
Mhm.
I doubt it if I was in New York City, if I would play that
Yeah,
much, but I don't know. No.
it's pretty fantastic that you have that in Turkey. My personal observation when I was in Turkey, the people just have an appreciation for jazz that you don't see here in the United States. I went there and you have your apartment was right near the artist club.
Yeah, yeah.
The theater, the open air theater is not far from there.
Yep.
And I saw Chick Corea and the Freedom Band. And there's 3,000 people sitting out there.
Oh yeah, man.
And so you work with a lot of well-established musicians in Turkey, and I know you played in a trio with I remember it's Jeff Jansley and
Jeff, yeah, French pianist, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you work with some pretty established guys. This guy, I don't know if I pronounced the name right, but Karem Gorsev.
Yeah, he's the most known pianist in Turkey. He has like 19 albums, and we did like albums in London and Abbey Road with London Philharmonic, and played gigs all over the world. Actually, in 2 days we're going to Italy to play at a festival which I cannot remember the name right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But in Sardinia, I think we're playing at a festival with him. So he's one of the most busy cats here in Turkey. So I'm playing with him since I came back from New York, and let's say that's the best jazz gig in Turkey. I can easily say that, and I feel grateful to be able to play with him and see all those great festivals and all that with him. And since we're playing for so many years, we're like, it's a good trio, man.
It's really tight.
It's really tight. It's really tight. We have the best bass player in the group, also the best bass player of Turkey. His name is Kaan Yıldız. So it's a good trio. So if anybody sees us in any festival around Europe, tell me that you saw this video. But other than that, I'm with the TRT Big Band, which is the radio big band of Turkey. That was founded back in '82. So it's a long-running big band of Turkish state radio. So I'm a full-time member of that radio big band. So I have that duty all the time. I have this Kerem gig, and I have my quintet gigs also. I'm very busy with my leadership also. It's a great group. I'm very happy with the musicians that I'm playing with, and on top of that, of course, as a drummer, I'm doing sideman work for all kinds of vocalists and people. I mean, whoever calls me and could afford me, let's say.
Yeah, that's really excellent. And I'm seeing. I saw you on you doing some television appearances in Turkey as well.
Oh yeah. With that radio big band, also we are doing all television appearances with that. And Kerem, that pianist that I was talking about, had a TV show back in the day. So we did like, I think 70 or something programs with him. And I mean, in short, I'm very busy drummer in Turkey. But the best thing is, man, I cannot, I will never forget those concerts. Like, let's say Benny Golson. Benny Golson came to Istanbul, and they needed a local band, so I was playing with them. Jacky Terrasson, I know him personally, so he said, I'm not bringing my trio. Ferit, should we play together? I said, of course, bro. Me, Jacky Terrasson, I mean, we played together a couple of gigs. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, Didi Bridgewater came. I played with her. So, I mean, there are like many examples like this. So whoever knows me or heard about me just calls me when they're in Istanbul, and we get to play together. So it's really a blessing to be able to do that. And the funniest one was Aaron Goldberg's gig. He had a trio gig. So his drummer, Greg Hutchinson, had a visa problem, last minute visa problem. So Aaron called me and I got to play with him. And the funniest story was, again at Nardis Jazz Club, Al Foster had a gig, but he lost his passport or something like that. Something happened, so he couldn't make it to his gig. I played with all his musicians, but I mean, of course, they announced that Al Foster is not going to be able to do it tonight, but we are doing the gig with Ferit and his group, so that was really funny. Al Foster Quintet, and I'm the drummer, you know. That was so funny. But that kind of things are happening all the time, so I'm very grateful about that. And whoever knows me from New York City calls me when they're in town.
That's excellent. So what would you say your personal observation is of the jazz in Turkey compared to New York or the United States?
Yeah, I mean, the audience is really curious here, and I think much younger. We have a younger audience in Turkey, but they're curious, but they don't know really that music that well as New Yorkers or as Americans. What I see is America and American people take it for granted. They have the best art form that they created, but the only thing is they don't really know what they have, you know. It's their art form, it's their music, and they don't really appreciate it as much as they should have.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's the biggest difference I see about American people and Turkish people. Turkish people are really curious about this music. They want to appreciate it, even though they don't know about it that much. But American people just, I don't know, they don't care. I don't know how to say this, but it's they should just embrace it, and they should really be aware what they have and what they created and what this art form means and what Black American music is, you know. And it's I mean, it's created by Black Americans for the world, so they should know and really appreciate what this music is all about, you know.
What is the music appreciation in the schools like in Turkey? Do you guys have like good music programs in like elementary and through high school?
Yeah, we have even in some schools jazz appreciation lessons, you know. We have that in our programs, but the Turkish education is not going in the direction that we would like it to be. It's all about politics, and I would not want to go in there about Turkey. As I'm a government official, I shouldn't be talking about that. But what I can say is it's not really looking good. So that's
well, I mean, it's quite honestly, it's a similar thing here in the United States. You know, with our current leadership is just it's quite ridiculous. But I do remember as a child in school, it's just going downhill with music appreciation. And I think that has a big effect on the audience and the people who are listening to jazz, especially, just even 20 years ago, they're teaching piano in school and teaching jazz and it's just going away. But, it's our prerogative as young musicians to keep spreading the message of jazz and continue with that.
Yeah, that's right. I was teaching at a private university here. I quit that because I had to quit because of this government big band work. It's just like they said I cannot be working on two different places. But anyway, so I'm now doing my doctorate studies in a Istanbul conservatory. So hopefully, maybe in like 10 years or something, I would maybe I would be the one who's changing the system. You never know.
Yeah, that would be
So
great.
brains like us, who got this flag from Mulgrew Miller, should change it. Let's say.
Yeah. And so I want to discuss a little bit about some of your recordings that you have come out with, because you have 3 big recordings as leader, and
right.
You came to New York for each of them.
That's right.
And you did have Mulgrew, Mulgrew talk about you on one of them.
Right, the first one, the debut album.
So talk to us a little bit about some of your recordings as a leader.
Yeah, the debut album is called Nomo, and I did it when I was doing my master's degree back in William Paterson University. And actually, my teacher, Bill Goodwin, was the producer of that record. So that was like, I was just like so excited. It was my first album, and I had another teacher of mine over there, Vincent Herring, a Grammy-winning artist, Brian Lynch on trumpet, and like Peter Washington on bass, man.
Peter Washington
playing with Peter. That was a dream come true for me. So that was like a great debut album for me. And then I came back for the second one, Autumn in New York, which was I'm still in love with New York City, as you can see the Yankees hat. And to show that, and just to be back in New York City, I did my second album, and I called it Autumn in New York. And also we played that that ballad on that album too. So this time I had Anthony Wanzi on piano, Terrell Stafford on trumpet, again Vincent Herring, and Peter Washington on bass again. That was also a great album for my career, let's say, because it got 4 stars on Downbeat and got reviewed by all the magazines and all that. And that was, I think, back in 2011, if I'm not wrong. I hope I'm not wrong, but it was, I think, 2011. We pressed it on vinyl too. And I went to this audiophile event, and all those audiophile guys said, okay, this album is pressed on vinyl, but it was not recorded analogous. So it doesn't mean shit for us, they said, And I said, oh, okay. So my next album will be all analog. And I went back to Brooklyn, the Bunker Studio, because they could do analog recordings over there. And I did a great tribute to Ted Dameron. He's one of my favorite, like the lyricist of bebop era. He wrote such great tunes that everybody should hear again and again and again. So I collaborated with David O'Rourke, a great string arranger, who I heard actually from a Jeremy Pelt album, Close to My Heart, on Max Jazz. And I just fell in love with those string arrangements, and I wanted to work with him for this project. And as we are doing right now, we did all the arrangements and everything on Skype, actually, Skype sessions all through the year. And then I paid my tribute to Ted Dameron with that group of 10 people, 6 strings and quartet with Terrell Stafford again, Peter Washington on bass, and Danny Grissett on piano. So he also loved Ted Dameron, of course, as a pianist. And that time, this album really got unbelievable reviews that I couldn't even imagine. So it also got great reviews from all the how do you say, analog people, all the like audiophile magazines and all that. And I'm just really happy about the result, but the only thing is how I'm gonna top this. I don't know. I should think about that right now. And since I had a baby 6 months ago, right now my biggest project is that baby. Her name is Mavi. which stands for blue in Turkish, and that's like my biggest project right now.
Yes, having a child, the first few years of life will be a big project for you.
Yeah, man. It takes so much time, and I'm like parenting also really heavily, and I'm like all hands on, and I'm doing everything that I can and help my wife with everything. So it takes time and effort, man. But it has to.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I wanted to know if you have some stories working with musicians in Europe that you can share with us, as a touring drummer and working a lot, some fun stories and anecdotes from different musicians you work with.
I mean, man, what I can tell you is, the minute I step on the stage, it doesn't matter where it is, I'm having fun. First of all, it's
yeah.
I'm there to have fun, That's my first goal. So every time I play is fun for me. So like every gig is fun, everything is but fun anecdotes, I don't know. I can't think of anything right now, but the only thing I can say to you is every time it's so much fun. So I don't really see any of them different than any other. It's just like it has to be fun all the time.
You're endorsed by all the major cymbal and drum companies in Turkey, right? In Istanbul.
Yeah, I mean, it's two of them are American companies actually. One of them is Gretsch Drums, which, I mean, all the guys that I love, Max Roach, Art Blake, Philly Joe Jones, they all used Gretsch Drums. So my love for that drums became an endorsement, I think 6 years ago or 7 years ago or something like that. I got my endorsement from them. And also Vic Firth Drumsticks, which is also an all-American company. And I think the greatest drumstick company in the world. And other than those, I have this endorsement from the Turkish cymbals called Istanbul Egop cymbals. So I'm really happy with those because I can go to the factory anytime I want. It's just like an hour drive from my home. So that's easy. That's really great. And I'm very happy with those endorsements, and I'm just grateful, man. I feel blessed about everything that I have in my life. And those endorsements really help, man. It's like I go to Bunker Studio, they send me a drum set over there. It's just like it's unbelievable. It's so great.
It's excellent. And so final few things. So in Turkey, if someone were coming to see jazz in Turkey, where would be the spots to go and check out? Coming from a local.
Yeah, that's a good question. The oldest one is Nardis Jazz Club, as we mentioned during this video. It's in the Galata district in Istanbul, and it's a must-see. You'll see local guys playing, and if you're lucky, you'll see people like Christian McBride even. So if you can find their sponsored events, there are great gigs over there too. But it's like 90% local jazz musicians are playing, and you'll probably see me over there too.
Yeah, good.
Other than that, there is a new club called Touche. It's in a mall actually. It's in a shopping mall. But right now in Turkey, shopping malls are they're not like shopping malls, but they're building like state-of-the-art concert halls and clubs in the shopping malls, So like the best concert halls in Istanbul are in shopping malls right now, if you could believe it. So it's really weird. They're turning this shopping mall culture into this different kind of thing that you can come eat your food at the best restaurant and then go to the gig or go to a Broadway show kind of thing in the state-of-the-art concert hall. So they're building those things right now. So the best example of that is the jazz club called Touche. There is another one called Salon, but they're not only jazz. It's not only a jazz club. There's also a great little one, like 35 people or something can fit in it, but it's called the Bado, and you have great food over there. The chef is the owner of the club. He's also a jazz singer, so he's cooking like this tasting menus every day, and it's just like this great experience of food and jazz all at the same time. Those are the ones that I can think of right now. And also, if you're lucky, you'll definitely see a festival. There are like 5 festivals going on in Istanbul for jazz, and they're always on those big concert halls. The biggest one is the Istanbul Jazz Festival. And also in October, there's this one called Akbank Jazz Festival. Also, there's this venue called İş Sanat, which has great jazz gigs. Like the top guys, they're bringing the top guys over there. So there's always there's always something that you can catch in Istanbul.
That's
but
great.
Also, man, it should be this way because 16 million people are living in Istanbul.
Yeah.
So even this is not enough for me. There should be like 10 more jazz clubs.
Big population, remarking about what you said about the malls. I noticed that in like kind of the Middle East area, the shopping malls is a big thing. When I was in Cairo, Egypt, I went to like City Stars Mall, and they have everything. They have everything in there, hotel, everything. And it must be something to do with like the comfort of the security. They have like the metal detector and everything is safe over there.
Exactly.
But Ferit, thanks for appearing on this series, and hopefully we will see you back in the United States soon.
Yeah, and any musician who's watching this and coming to Turkey, to Istanbul, basically, they should just connect and say hi to me, and if they need anything, man, I'm there for them. We're like a big family. I see us all jazz musicians as a big family, so we should support each other. So they have their brother here, and they should just send me a message and just let me know what they need, man. That's
cool.
it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the links to your your social media and
my name and last name for all the social media. So if they can see my name and last name on your videos, just like they'll find me, man. It's very easy.
Excellent. Well, Ferit, thank you for doing this interview, and
thank you so much, Jonah.
Flame, man.
Yeah, man. We should keep on swinging and keep on playing, and as our teacher said, keep on keeping on.
Yeah, definitely, man. All right. Well, Ferit, thank you.
All right, bro. Bye-bye.